Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, with Donald Trump continuing to fill out his cabinet, we'll take a look at what the president-elect has revealed about his plans for mass deportations. And President Biden greenlights a policy shift he previously worried could escalate Russia's war with Ukraine.
And get ready for an unsettled week in terms of weather. Details in the First Alert forecast in a few minutes.
Dedicated to southern and eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. President-elect Donald Trump is still sorting out a few senior positions within his administration. This comes as he continues to prepare for a controversial immigrant deportation plan. CBS's Christian Benavidez is in West Palm Beach, Florida with the latest.
President-elect Donald Trump spent part of the weekend surrounded by supporters at a UFC fight in New York. It was a rare trip from his Florida state, where he continues to work on cabinet picks. Trump had been considering transition co-chair Howard Lutnick and hedge fund manager Scott Bessent to lead Treasury. Bessent made his case on Fox and Friends.
Under Donald Trump, we could have a golden age for the next 4 years. We can bring back the manufacturing, we could have energy dominance.
Trump is also using social media to play up plans to carry out mass deportations of undocumented immigrants starting on his first day. Trump posted that his mass deportation program will involve declaring a national emergency and using military assets.
It's going to be a targeted enforcement operation concentrating on criminals and national security threats first.
There are an estimated 11 million undocumented immigrants living in the U.S. Deporting them could cost billions of dollars. Christian Benavidez, CBS News, West Palm Beach, Florida.
Tom Homan, Trump's new border czar, admitted that there will be costs up front for the deportations, but he says he believes it will save the country money in the long run. We are learning more about what caused a deadly explosion in Louisville last week. The ATF says the explosion happened when a cooking vessel failed. Investigators believe this particular vessel did not vent properly, causing overpressurization that led to the explosion. Officials clarified that no one did anything intentional to cause it and that it was just an accident. Today is day 2 of the murder trial of Jose Ibarra. He is charged with murder and aggravated assault with intent to rape nursing student Laken Riley. Prosecutors say Ibarra planned to hurt a woman when he encountered Riley during her morning jog on the University of Georgia's campus. A University of Georgia police officer testified he questioned the suspect in Spanish about fresh scratches on his arm. The officer says Ibarra did not have an explanation for them. Prosecutors are urging a judge to reject the latest bail request from music mogul Sean Combs, accusing him of attempted blackmail from behind bars. In a court filing, prosecutors claim Combs instructed his family to contact potential witnesses and victims and sought to intimidate them into silence. Prosecutors say he is also trying to influence jurors with social media posts, including one showing Combs' children celebrating his birthday over the phone with him.
What we see is somebody who allegedly is violating prison guidelines, trying to reach out to witnesses, potentially to silence them or get favorable treatment. So his campaign to try and reach the jury, I think, has spectacularly backfired to the extent that people are talking about this prosecution filing.
Combs has pleaded not guilty to sex trafficking, coercion, and physical and sexual abuse and is currently awaiting trial. The Biden administration is urging Congress to quickly pass a massive disaster relief spending bill. Nearly half of the roughly $100 billion requested will go to FEMA's Disaster Relief Fund. The bill also includes funding for other agencies, including the Departments of Agriculture, Transportation, and the Small Business Administration. The request comes as Americans in the Southeast are still cleaning up from major hurricanes Helene and Milton. President Biden is attending the G20 Leaders Summit today in Brazil. It comes amid heightened global tensions and the incoming Trump administration. The U.S. is focusing on what is happening now, with President Biden looking to strengthen relationships with world leaders. The president is also trying to declare investments he believes are important to G20 leaders, including the climate, fighting hunger, and clean energy. Tomorrow marks 1,000 days since Russia invaded Ukraine, with the war reaching the 3-year mark in February. Now the Biden administration has greenlit a major policy shift in how Ukraine uses U.S. ballistic missiles. It comes as North Korean troops join the fight with Russian forces. CBS's Tarian Small reports from Washington.
President Biden is using his final weeks in office to okay Ukraine's use of U.S. ballistic missiles for attacks inside Russia. The U.S. supplied Ukraine with the Army tactical missile system last year, which can strike targets up to 190 miles away. The White House had concerns using the weapons on targets in Russia would escalate the war. But now Biden is approving their use across the border.
The United States strongly supports Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity.
Recently, 11,000 North Korean troops joined Russian forces, a move experts say pushed the Biden administration to act.
The increased escalation by Putin, bringing in North Korean troops, really solidifying this as a global conflict with troops from North Korea fighting in Europe. I think that was the last straw for the Biden administration.
In his nightly video address, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says the longer-range missiles will speak for themselves. Time should be invested not to talk to someone in Moscow, but to force Russia to end the war, he said. His message came shortly after Russia launched one of its largest attacks in months on Ukrainian civilians, killing at least 11 and injuring dozens in Odessa. Volunteers in Kyiv have created a massive memorial to mark 1,000 days of war, each blue and yellow flag honoring a soldier who died fighting the Russian invaders. Torian Small, CBS News, Washington.
President-elect Trump claims he can bring a quick end to the war, though it is unclear what that would mean for the parts of Ukraine that Russia currently controls. The French president is expected to invite President-elect Donald Trump to visit Paris in February. That's according to 2 French officials. Billionaire tech advisor Elon Musk is also on the guest list. The invite is in conjunction with a summit Emmanuel Macron is hosting on artificial intelligence. What the French leader is calling a 2-day action summit on AI will take place on February 10th and 11th.
We had an overall nice weekend. Highs were in the 50s on Saturday, upper 60s and low 70s yesterday. We were in the 60s and 70s today as well. There's the latest with live pinpoint Doppler radar. All is quiet across the area now, but we are seeing that cloud cover thicken, and basically back behind us you can see off towards the west as we take a look here at the satellite and radar. The rain chances are there off towards the west, towards Kansas City, over towards portions of Nebraska, Iowa. That's our weather maker as we go into the day on Tuesday, is that rain right there. But all in all, again, everything is quiet across eastern Kentucky at this hour. Temperatures right now in the upper 50s towards Clintwood, otherwise 60s from Prestonsburg to Hazard. Manchester's at 66, 68 in Somerset, 70 is the current temperature in Monticello. When you wake up in the morning, temperatures in the 40s and 50s will greet you. Still unseasonably warm for this time of year on the low end. We should be hovering right around 36 to 37 degrees, so still not a bad start to your Tuesday, but there is a caveat to that forecast. We'll talk about that, plus have a look at the second half of the work week. That's coming up in the First Alert forecast in a few minutes. Steve.
All right, Eric, thank you. Today marks the first day of Crash Responder Safety Week. It's a week to remind Kentuckians to slow down and move over when they see anyone stopped on the side of the road. Bubba Johnson is the owner of Bubba's Towing in Bath County. He says slowing down and moving over could save a life. He lost a close friend because someone did not. Since Troy Caldwell's death, Johnson wants blue lights added to tow truck cars to encourage drivers to stay alert and save lives.
They need the blue lights there for their safety, just like we need the blue lights for our safety. But our problem is we don't have the availability for the cops all the time, every time.
He wants the blue lights law to be a memory of Caldwell, who was from Moorhead and was killed in a crash back in September. Johnson says he has talked to representatives and has a lot of supporters behind him to get the law into place, including tow truck companies across the state. Regardless of whether you are hosting or traveling, the Thanksgiving holiday can be expensive. What you should consider while trying to stay within your budget for the holiday season.
And in the world of weather, the headline behind me says it all. Weather whiplash. We go from the 70s to the low 40s. Details in a few minutes.